Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the SSCAIT report. I will be your host Chobo Swaggins, aka Jealous from Team Liquid, and today we will be continuing with the official 2020 through 2021 tournament. We will have broadcasts on Saturdays and Sundays until the tournament is complete, so remember to tune in tomorrow to Nightcat's broadcast of the winners round of 8. Today we will be casting the losers round 1, the elimination games between Tier Protoss, Dragon, Proxy, Xiao Yi, Madmix P, Ironbot, Willie T, and Steamhammer. Winners will advance to losers round 2 and meet the fallen opponents from winners round 2. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the games. In our first series, we'll have Steamhammer spawning as the yellow Zerg at the bottom left of Fighting Spirit against Willie T as the orange Protoss on the bottom right. So, TVZ on Fighting Spirit, one of the most standard maps known to the StarCraft world, a very popular map to this day. Zergs often take, in human play, they take the other main base, they put lurkers on the high ground, but more recently we've seen people opt for 2-hatch Mutalisk style plays, and we've seen that in bot world as well. Last week we saw some 1-hatch Mutalisks play, so I'm going to be interested in seeing how Steamhammer approaches this game. Looks like we're starting with an overpool here. Meanwhile, Willie T, standard depot, barracks at 11, and gas is already on the way for Steamhammer, so we will be seeing either a quick layer or some Zergling speed aggression. Willie T does manage to find the opponent, sees the spawning pool timing, sees that the gas is up, so will not be taken unawares by this. Meanwhile, Steamhammer is drone scouting in the clockwise pattern, but is going to miss his opponent for quite some time. Looks like it's going to be 1 Rax FE from Willie T at 15 supply. This is a very standard build order that humans often go for. And in the meantime, Steamhammer now going for a layer, and that looks like to be a Hydralisk Den. Interesting choices here. Looks like it's going to be 1-hatch Lurker, which could potentially contain the Terran until they get Siege or Science Vessels, or until they get a sufficient massive Marine Medic to bust the front. Bunker is now up for the Terran player, and it is positioned quite well next to the command center. The drone looks like it's just doing some checks on it. Probably doesn't have to be here. It could have been sent back to continue the economy, because the Zerg player is quite low on miners, so it's interesting to see that it opts to keep the drone here as a scout, especially with the Zerglings already having been here. The Zerglings will prevent any future scouting. In the meantime, the Terran is going up to a factory and an engineering bay, getting that important detection that it will need. First 2 lurkers now morphing on the bridge before detection. Is there going to be a turret here? It's going to be crucial for us. Yes, it is. The turret is coming up. This is a pretty decent position for it. There is the possibility that I could get sniped. It doesn't come up in time for the lurkers yet. The lurkers are pushing in. The turret does come up. The turret is weak. Oh my goodness, 1 lurker goes down, and the turret goes down, and now the lurkers are able to attack with impunity. I love this egg that is here too, drawing the fire from the bunker. It is quite hurt though, it could lose the minerals and gas that the Zerg sorely needs. The lurker getting destroyed before it is able to pop because of the damage from the bunker, but the lurker pressure continues at the front. The Vulture is not going to be able to do anything. Zerglings continuing to stream in. They're trying to bust this bunker location, but with repairs they could maintain its comsat stations now being added, which would be a huge boon for the Terran player. Do we have U-238 shells? No, we do not, which means that the bunker will not have the range upgrade. Scan comes down, 1 lurker goes down. The drone looks like it was trying to block the lurker. Oh, but this one is outside the range of the bunker, and Scan is not up long enough to take down that lurker. That lurker is going to continue applying pressure to the front. SCVs continuing to be hemorrhaged here as they try to add another turret. And these lurkers have, I think, almost paid for themselves already, as the Zerg takes a natural base and begins to expand its economy by adding another hatchery in the main as well. The bunker finally does go down, the turret comes up, and siege mode, placed very intelligently here on the high ground, does take that down, so now the Zerg is in trouble. Maybe would have wanted to keep some lurkers back a little bit further to stall out any push or aggression from the Terran player, bringing Hydralisks forward now, looking to make some more lurkers at this choke point. In the meantime, Terran is now continuing to add factories. We're adding Goliaths. We have +1 attack, I'm guessing, spinning right now. Mines are on the way. Yes, it is +1 attack. Zergling speed is researched as well, it should be noted. Vultures look to start applying some pressure, but are being pushed back by the Zerglings. One Vulture does go down. SCV makes its way out of the base. Looks like it's going to try to sneak a third base here. Very greedy play from Terran. In the meantime, the Zerg is up to 3 bases of their own soon enough. Sunken here will be useful against the Vultures, but will not do much against a Siege Tank Goliath push, which could be very deadly. But it looks like the Terran is more than content to macro up and get an economic advantage following the one base layer play from Steamhammer. We are getting more hatcheries thrown down as well. It looks like it's going to be a macro-oriented game, and this is, as of right now, it's one of the evenest games I've seen in the tournament, so I'm really excited for this series now. Siege Tank number is getting quite scary. I don't see any more lurkers out on the map. It's just Zerglings and Hydralisks. We definitely need to see a big mass of Hydralisks to hope to stop this Siege Tank composition. Something that you might want to look into as a Zerg player is adding Mutalisks as well. This forces Goliath production and slows down the tank production from the Terran player. Right now, though, the Terran more than happy to produce mass tanks, and now we are unsieging. Looks like there may be aggression, but no, it's actually going to defend its new expansion here. It was really greedy expansion here, but the army from Zerg is not that great here. I think it will be whittled down. Siege Tank does go down. Siege Tank numbers have to be maintained in this matchup in order to face the Hydralisk Zergling spam. However, it should be noted that the army from Steamhammer is quite low as well. Now actually down to only 2 army supply, and it is going to be Zerglings. Zerglings do not fare that well against mass mech, and we actually see a dropship now as well. Looks like it's going directly to the 4th base of the Zerg, coming right as the drones arrive. I love this burrow here from Steamhammer. Steamhammer saving the drones. The Siege Tanks not finding any damage, and really intelligent play here from the AI. Scourge now, I'm surprised, this looks like almost like human play to me. The Scourge have taken out the dropship. The drones burrowed before too much damage can be done. Unburrowed, start mining, and pressure is continuing on the 3rd base of the Terran. Unable to mine, losing SCVs here. Marines and Goliaths coming in, both will fare well against the Zerglings, but the numbers are getting greater and greater with each continuing attack, having staved off the pressure. And there's the Mutalisks that we were hoping to see to handle these Siege Tanks. The Zerglings are running up onto the Siege Tanks. They did get taken out by the Marines and the Goliaths, and now the mass from the Zerg is starting to accelerate. We're getting more and more bases. We're going up to 6 bases now for the Zerg. What an insane economic approach from the Zerg, starting from that initial aggression. But look at the Siege Tank count. The Siege Tank count could be devastating. We do want to see the Goliath count climb a little bit, as well as the Mutalisk flock continues to rise. The Mutalisks are going to fly away, though. It looks like the Zerglings are unsure of whether or not to engage. I don't think it's a good idea. They would trade cost effectively, but perhaps less so now that there's quite so many Siege Tanks and Goliaths, and we see even Ghosts out on the map. What is going on in this game? This might be one of the most exciting games I've seen in this tournament so far, and it's such a treat to bring it to you guys here. Siege Tanks pushing into the 12 o'clock base, the 6th base from Zerg, but it was quite naked. It's not going to like the losses here, but the Terran army is a little bit more spread out now. There is a possibility to pick off some Siege Tanks. Zerglings not committing to an engagement. 4th base now coming up, and we have Queens on the map. What have we not seen in this game so far? Queens, Ghosts. I'm interested to see what the Ghosts are going to do. Now it looks like we're going to have Guardians here. Guardians don't fare that well against mech because of the Goliath range. Do we have that research in? No, we do not. We do have Cloak for the Ghosts, though, which is quite interesting. And Terran is going up to 5 bases while pushing the Zerg base at the top left. Now Terran is climbing ahead in base count, and that's not a position you want to be in. Drones unburrow, try to flee, but the Siege Tanks are still there. Continuing pressure on the 3rd base from the Terran. Worker count is equal. Army count heavily in Willie T's favor, though, as 100 supply of mech army takes down the 6 o'clock base now. And it looks like Steamhammer cannot stop this death ball push, and it cannot seem to do enough damage to Willie T to make up for it. Now Willie T, it looks like it's trying to make the killing blow, going for the natural of Steamhammer. Steamhammer does have Defiler tech, has Ultralist tech. Looks like it doesn't have energy for Dark Swarm, which would have been so good against mech here. Another Defiler comes out. Does it have energy? No, it gets taken down. And this number of Hydralisks and Zerglings is not going to be enough to handle this death ball push from Willie T. Now on 5 bases of their own, as Steamhammer looks to continue to expand their economy and gain back those bases that it lost, but it's going to lose its 3rd base here. With such consistent loss of bases, I don't think that Steamhammer can handle this kind of mech army. We see that there's idle larva here. Mineral count is low. Meanwhile, Willie T at 180 supply. What are the upgrades at? We have 2-1 upgrades. No, 2-2 on the way now for Willie T. And as he pushes into the natural base of the Zerg player, you can't help but feel that there's not much that Steamhammer can do. But wow, what a game. What a game to start us off here today, folks. I'm so happy to have you guys here and to be casting such a wonderful game right from the rip. It's incredible to me that these two are meeting in the losers round, because I find it hard to believe that, that these two AI could have fallen to play, like that there are AI that are of such high caliber that they can beat opponents of this caliber. Vulture's harassing this base, laying a couple of mines here as well, not allowing it to go up uncontested. Is going to prevent the mining from happening here. The drones are going to try to head to the old destroyed 4th base, I believe, or 5th base from the Zerg. Zerg now looking to transfer some... Oops, I just... There we go. Zerg looking to start mining here. Mutalisks are going to try to clear this up. This base is going to get taken out again, even though the drones may not go down because of the the burrowing. You need bases to mine from, and there is only 1 active mining base for Steamhammer, while Willie T takes their natural 3rd for a total of 6. It looks like it's running around. This is one of the weaknesses of the mech death ball, is the fact that it takes a little bit of time to move it around and take out bases, but I don't think that Steamhammer can keep this up for much longer. The Terran death ball just too great at 193 out of 190 for supply, almost maxed out. 122 supply of manly mech army, pushing now into the main base of Steamhammer, looking to do that killing blow with ghosts and Goliaths and vultures and siege tanks, pushing in now right as Steamhammer is starting to mine out of its final minerals. Not much more income coming its way, and you can't help but feel that this game is over. But what a fantastic game 1 it is in this series, and I'm excited for the next one. Let's go into that right away. Second game is going to be on Destination. We have Steamhammer at 6 o'clock as the Yellow Zerg yet again, against Willie T at 12 o'clock as the Green Terran. And this map, a classic from the 2008-2009 era of Korean Pro League, notable for a couple of its features, namely the double bridge in the front, making both contains and greedy economic play a little bit easier to achieve. There is a backdoor that you can mine out through. Those have 0 minerals, and it's a stacked patch. I believe there are 10 minerals stacked here. There is a mineral only in the back as well, and a high ground gas with a big ramp here that is a little bit more difficult to hold. However, Terran is known for taking bases like this one. Even though it has double ramps, they are both easily wallable and holdable with mech. There's also this base over here with a narrow bridge of its own. So definitely a lot of expansion options here. It's going to be interesting to see what our AI go for here. It looks like it was overpool with gas yet again for Steamhammer, perhaps opting to go for lurkers yet again. Lurkers could be quite good on this map because, as I mentioned before, of these bridges, making it difficult to push out against them. And actually a gas steal as well from Steamhammer. Interesting choice here. Command center coming down for Willie T at 15 again. Yes, this is a standard Rax FE, and we do have the 1-hatch layer yet again. You would expect to see the Hydralis Den being put down at around half of the HP of the layer if it's going to be 1-hatch lurkers, but it looks like it's going to be 1-hatch Mutalisks actually. Is it going to have 200 minerals in time? Nope, it looks like it did go for that Hydralis Den a little bit late. You want it to pop at the same time as the layer to start that lurker production, perhaps delayed slightly by this gas that it took down, and the gas is pulling marine attention away as the command center is getting denied by Zerglings in the natural. Lots of SCVs going down. Worker count is almost equaling out, even though Steamhammer is only on 1 base, but the Marines are now starting to arrive and clear up those Zerglings as Willie T takes the gas in the natural. Again, I'm so surprised that this is AI play and not human play, because this is the human answer to getting your gas stolen. You take it in your natural so you can start mining it sooner and hopefully get up to that factory tech. In the meantime, Hydralisks are now out for Steamhammer, and I'm sure that lurker upgrade is almost done. Yes, it is. It is close to completion. We should be seeing those lurkers positioning themselves, but we already have a turret from Steamhammer as well. Notably, no bunker though, so there is the possibility of running in with Zerglings and lurkers. They could bust down this natural, and that would be a huge loss for Willie T, who had already hemorrhaged quite a few SCVs. In the meantime, yes, the lurkers are coming out now. They are looking to bust in here. The Zerglings are going to run in forward, taking a couple of shots that maybe they should not have, but the turret does get taken down. 3 lurkers this time and not 2. Running into the mineral line, there are 2 turrets here, but the Zerglings and the lurkers are going to take it down. The Marines in this number are unable to handle this pressure, and Steamhammer looking to take down this command center. The command center is not lifting, it's trying to produce SCVs. It needs to fly now. Repairs are not advisable in this situation with so many lurkers here. I believe there's 4 lurkers. The command center goes down, and guys, we have a series on our hands. By the way, I just want to mention that it is going to be best of 3 in the losers bracket. It looks like it could be a quick 1-1 here for Steamhammer, who is taking their expansion behind this. Great way to follow up with economic play instead of continuing to go all in. Looks like Willie T was thinking about mining out that mineral to take that back natural, but it's not going to happen. The lurkers are now inside the main base of Willie T firmly, and the barracks might go down. If that goes down, there's not going to be any more military production. Not that the Marines were doing all that well against lurkers. There is 1 ComSat station. It looks like it does have energy for 1 scan. Saving it now. SCVs continuing to be hemorrhaged. Willie T down to 6 SCVs, 5 now, while Steamhammer's at 18. The lurker build doing great work here, and I think that gas steal in the early game might have distracted Willie T and messed with its AI a little bit. It allowed for this opening to happen, and that's a really interesting play from Steamhammer. This is an amazing series already, and Mutalisk's now out off of 2 gases for Steamhammer. If the situation wasn't already bad, it's just gotten worse. There are turrets and a bunker in the main base though. Looks like they're trying to take down the ComSat station. There are a couple of scans, but is it going to be no? The ComSat station goes down, and now Willie T is surely in a difficult position. Lurkers are going to try to push forward a little bit, but there is a bunker and turrets here. There's not a lot of Marines in the bunker, it seems though, because of the fact there's only 2 Marines actually, and there's not going to be any more coming out anytime soon. It's 1 worker now left for Willie T, and this game will go to Steamhammer, equaling up the series 1-1 as we go into the 3rd and final game of this series. Willie T spawning at the bottom right of Empire of the Sun as the red Terran, and Steamhammer spawning in the top left as the blue Zerg. Cross map positions, lots of different high grounds to be played around with here. Perhaps slightly easier to defend than other maps because of this high ground, but it is also a map with no ramp, so that means that any pressure that makes it past the natural will easily go into the main base. And if we saw it last game, I think we can see it again here. It's going to come down to execution. Should be noted that the rush distance is definitely longer on this map. Let's look at what the builds are going to be. There's the Overlord, and it's Overlord gas with no spawning pool. Very very interesting. Is that really what we're doing here? Yes, it is. Is this a delayed pool? Very interesting. The pool was definitely a little bit late. Looks like it was looking to get its gas early here. In the meantime, Willie T Scout has now just checked out the bottom left. It's going to find its opponent here now. Willie T looks to be going for a similar build to previous games, where it's going to maybe go for 15 supply racks FE. Even though it is, and we see the gas steal again, I wonder if this is going to play a factor again. No Marines out yet. Lair from 1 base coming up again. Zerglings being produced. 6 Zerglings. Last game they did do quite some damage. They took down a lot of SCVs that were trying to build this command center, and with no ramp it might be easier for them to run into the main and continue applying that pressure. Bunker being made in the main base. I think this is the explanation for why there was no bunker at the front on destination. It was put here instead to take down this gas, which is an interesting decision. I think it might be an oversight in the programming, and Zerglings are going to run into the main base, into the natural yet again. They're going to apply pressure to the SCV. The SCV building, the command center goes down. The gas does get put in the natural, but SCVs are not going to be able to run out here quite easily. They're going to continue trying to build that command center. Zerglings running around applying pressure. Command center does go up. Zerglings still applying pressure, but again, notably, no bunker at the front of Willie T's base. it was put in the main base where it doesn't absolutely have to be. It's going to be one hatch lurkers yet again. The first Hydralisks are on the way. Is there going to be a chance for Willie T to hold this? Are they going to place another bunker at the natural with some turrets? It does not seem to be the case. This could be so dangerous for Willie T. They could be knocked out of the tournament because of this, because of a gas steel approach. And Zerglings are actually taking down Marines as well. In this number, they can definitely do so. 5 Zerglings against 2 Marines. Are they going to take down some more Marines? This would be a crucial timing for them before the lurkers arrive. No, the Marines staying alive, but no medics here to heal them. Very low on HP on one of those. Another Marine goes down. The Zerglings continuing to do great work here, and the lurkers are morphed and coming. Lurker is going to put itself in the natural yet again. The command center is already weak from the Zergling pressure. I think that Steam Hammer is going to pull this one out. After getting pushed so hard by the mech in game 1, now we're seeing Steam Hammer's lurker shenanigans pay off, and the difference was that gas that was placed in the main base. That seems to be the trick. Mech is now on the way, but the command center is going to go down again. There's no detection. The Academy just now finishing for Willie T. Lurkers are going to push in onto this gas and eventually into the main base unless this can be held. Siege tanks need to be coming out now. Scan needs to be up now. Lurkers are pushing in. Looks like they got glitched out by their friends a little bit, but they are pushing in. They're going to take down the buildings one by one as they encroach on the main base of Willie T. And Willie T, 17 workers. The factory spinning, but no production coming out notably. And I think that this might just be GG. There is a ComSat scanner, but I think the bunker is out of range of the lurkers. There's no marine range. SCVs are being hemorrhaged yet again, trying to repair these buildings. The factory goes down. Another add-on is being put down, but with no detection, no consistent detection besides the ComSat scanner, I don't think that Willie T will be able to push this back right now. I mean, what a performance from Steam Hammer to reverse this series from a 1-0 down into a 2-1 victory, and will advance to the next set of games in the losers bracket. Let me just make sure that I didn't misunderstand the results. Nope, they are confirmed by the spreadsheet I have here, and the Mutalisks are now out. Steam Hammer on 2 bases with 20 workers, and this has to be GG. I don't think that Willie T will be able to do anything about it. The bunker is going to go down soon. Only 2 army. No army production with 2 Marines naked against Mutalisks and lurkers in its main base. Willie T will go down. Let's speed it up a little bit just to pay our respects to Willie T, who put up some fantastic games in this tournament. The first game on Fighting Spirit looked really convincing. Unfortunately, unable to reach that level of map control and production in these last 2 games, but fantastic play from both opponents here, and congratulations to Steam Hammer advancing. Willie T, better luck next year. So let's go into our bracket and see what that means for us. We have, I started somehow in the opposite order for some reason. It looks like they were not played in the order that they're in the bracket. I apologize for that if anyone's a little OCD, but Willie T did not go to 3-0 either. It was 2-1 Steam Hammer in the losers bracket. And interesting, yes, there we go. It does work this time. We're going to do Mad Mix Iron Bot. This is the order that I have the replays in, so that we're going to go from bottom up, it seems, this time. I hope you guys don't mind, like I said. So, Steam Hammer, 11th seed, taken out 14 Willie T. And I do want to quickly note that there have been quite some upsets throughout this tournament. Marion Deveka, the 10th seed, taking down Ironbot. It's not necessarily a huge upset, but in terms of seed number, that is definitely one of them. There was another one, let me see. Yeah, 9 seed Krazio P taking down Dragon. That was a fantastic series last week as well. Anyway, going into Mad Mix P versus Ironbot. Let's see game 1. Mad Mix P spawning as the Brown Protoss on the right hand side of Heartbreak Ridge against Ironbot spawning as the Red Terran on the left. So Heartbreak Ridge, notable for, of course, its ridges. These are really useful for pushing. They're good defensively. It's also notable for its back door ridge as well. This is a good place to drop units. It is also a potential place for raiding if a person or an AI decides to mine out that back mineral patch. It opens a second pathway into the natural, allowing for a unique form of aggression. But in the let's see what happens first. It looks like it's going to be a standard gate. Oh no, I said standard gateway. It's a forge from Mad Mix P. Interesting. We have seen quite a number of cannon rushes and cannon contains. They can work quite well against a meching Terran, something that people do on big game hunters a lot in 3v3s. You cannon rush right here. This forces the Terran to lift up their barracks, and then you can run in with army now that the wall has been removed. But it's actually defensive forging cannons here. Interesting choice. That is going to keep it safe from any early shenanigans from Ironbot. Vultures will have a hard time running in here, but it is going to be a gateway to follow up as well. Almost kind of would have wanted to see the cannons here. It is a tighter choke, and it would have opened up the spot to take the natural and play a little greedy here. In the meantime, one factory coming up for Ironbond, one SCV on gas, so that implies to me that it should be either an expansion play. It's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be after mines or siege tank. What you do is you take the SCVs off gas until you can afford a command center. That's what we're climbing towards here with 400 minerals. Looks like nope, it's going to be a depot first. And then as soon as you throw down that command center, you can put the SCVs back on gas. But interestingly enough, it looks like the SCVs were put back onto gas before the command center was built. Here is the command center here. It's likely going to fly to the natural. Would have possibly liked to see it here so that it has a shorter flying time, but the advantage of putting it back here is that it is hidden and the Protoss is not aware of what's happening. The wall, of course, preventing the probe from scouting, so it's not aware if it's a 2-factory push, if it's some sort of biomech all-in. In reality, it is going to be siege tank. It looks like it's going to be siege mode indeed to support this command center expansion. Is going to be a second. No, that's an engineering bay. Engineering bay, safe play after the command center to get detection against any potential Protoss shenanigans. Protoss in the meantime, Mad Mix P going for 3 gateway. Likely to be Zealot production as we do not yet have a gas. Zealots would be effective against siege tanks here. But defensive play can still stall out the Zealot aggression, and it is a more economical opening from Ironbot. So going into this, Ironbot definitely playing a little bit more standard, and it's possible that we might see why standard is standard here. But should be noted, the Zealot count is quite high, 22 army. That implies 11 Zealots out on the field with 3 tanks, 1 Vulture, 2 Marines. I don't think that could be enough, but it's actually going to be aggressive with this. There's now 4 gateways on the map, actually. Interesting placement here in the natural with the pylons as well. Might stall out the AI. The Zealots now looking to run in here into the natural base. Vultures microing quite well here, but they are going to engage with the SCVs, take down some SCV numbers. Meanwhile, the push is coming in. Siege tanks microing quite well here as well. Zealots not eager to engage here. Numbers not quite high enough. As the natural comes up, Vulture in support as well. The command center is naked here. There's no SCVs mining because of the pressure from Mad Mix, and this is becoming crazy. I'm going to slow down to see what happens here because the siege push now is in for Ironbot. It looks like it's going to be almost a base race here as the cannons are getting taken down, Zealots are getting taken down. They're not going to make it on top of those siege tanks. If the Zealots had committed to running on top of the siege tanks, maybe it would have been possible. Force it on siege, do quite a bit of damage, but the Zealots are also pushing into the main base of Ironbot as well. Vultures are taking them down, though. Vultures being a great counter unit to the Zealot. Zealots have done quite some damage, but will they be able to stabilize at home? The 3 siege tanks here haven't even been touched. The Nexus is going to come up without any benefit to the Protoss player. Command center is quite hurt, forcing some repairs. Zealots still running around here. It looks like it's a bunker being thrown down here at the natural to help support the defensive position of Ironbot. Siege tanks backing up. Interesting. I guess recognizing the number of Zealots here now, which are definitely more than enough to take down 3 siege tanks, but with the Vulture support coming in, 5 Vultures with good micro that we've seen already would be enough to take down these Zealots, and without Dragoons and without cannons, the Vultures are an exceptionally large threat to the Protoss in its current situation. Only 1 cannon here. Looks like another one's being thrown down here. This is a better place for it, but with this number of Vultures a run by is viable. The patrol micro here is going to whittle down these Zealots. Range units desperately needed from Protoss, but the Zealot number is quite high. How are they going to approach this? The Vulture is making a circle around these Zealots, attacking them on every side. 1 Zealot gets 1 attack, and just to give you a reference for how well these Vultures are doing, and the economy from Terran is actually stronger than Protoss as well. 36 workers now, 24 army. The Zealot count continues to get whittled down before it can make it to the natural of the Terran player. Ironbot putting on a clinic here of Vulture micro against Zealots, and I'm going to speed it a little bit back up again. Cannons in the natural now will help to defend against the Vultures, but the amount of Zealots that have been lost is not going to be something that Mad Mix P is going to be happy with here. The Vultures can't engage, but the Siege Tanks now coming in with Siege Mode. Siege Mode, if they take down these cannons, it will open up the door for Vultures. The Vultures, in turn, will do quite well against these Zealots. And still no Cybernetics core for Mad MXP. No Dragoons, no higher tech. Mines now being placed out in the field on the natural to prevent the Zealots from running on top of the Siege Tanks, and the Siege Tanks have firmly planted themselves in the natural base of the Protoss. Cybernetics core does finally come up, but Dragoons are going to be too little too late now. More cannons being thrown down in desperation, but I don't think it's going to do it. Even a Wraith out here, possibly anticipating a shuttle play of some sort. So shuttles, of course, being very useful for busting pushes, but with no army to load into shuttles and no robotics to build a shuttle, this Wraith here is just a method of insurance. And it looks like, I just want to note how Ironbot has placed these mines here to prevent any sneaky expansions from Mad MXP, as Ironbot took the third base of their own and is now taking down the base from Mad MXP. It looks like Mad MXP is going to fall in game 1 of this losers bracket match, this best of 3. Yeah, there's not much left for Mad MXP. First Dragoon does make it out on the map. I don't believe it even has range. No research at all for the Protoss players in the upgrades tab, maybe? No. +1, interestingly enough. And actually, look at this. +2 already on the way for Ironbot. What a stellar performance from this AI in this game. And it looks like Mad MXP indeed is going to go down here in game 1. Next game is going to be on Fighting Spirit, with Mad MXP spawning in the top right position as the purple Protoss, and Ironbot spawning as the brown Terran in the top left. Fighting Spirit does have some positional balance pluses and minuses. I believe that Nightcat was discussing this last week, in the sense that this position may be more difficult to hold for Terran. This is their natural third. You generally do not want it to be close to the Protoss because they can apply pressure here. However, that could also work to Terran's benefit as well, because as they push with their mech army in the middle, they naturally claim this territory for themselves. And because of the fact that this ramp goes into their natural, there's only one real point of access for an enemy player. If they don't, you make air, obviously. And this is a pretty easy area to wall off and hold for Terran. So I think that, positionally speaking, this is not going to be too bad. Protoss in general also would not like the Nexus to be facing the Terran player at the third base. So therefore, Protoss should be quite happy with this position as well. I think this is going to be a fair and balanced game here. Wall off already complete for Ironbot. They have trapped the probe here from Mad MXP in the main base, but there's not going to be any surprises. It looks like it's going to be, again, that one factory expand play with the SCVs having been taken off of gas in order to afford that command center. In the meantime, it's going to be straight into 3 gateways for Mad Mix. No forge this time. This should allow it to have a greater number of zealots earlier and potentially deny this expansion for a little bit longer. However, it should also be noted that because this is a high ground ramped map, it'll be more difficult for the zealots to make their way into the main base, and this wall off is zealot tight. Factory is now up. SCV's put back on gas. No production quite yet. Command center just started, and so did the first siege tank. It looks like we're going to be going into siege mode yet again. Now, still 3 gateway zealot production. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to stall out this command center. The command center is closer to its desired location than it was in the previous game on Heartbreak Ridge. Siege tank now out. Siege mode, not going to be terribly useful against zealots, but because the factory is already up, vultures should be coming up shortly, and engineering bay is up on the way as well. Siege mode is going to come in. One zealot does get picked off. Siege mode here, interestingly enough, could be difficult. Yes, I love to see that the SCVs are repairing the depots, because the splash damage from this back siege tank, as the zealots run up close to the wall, is going to damage that supply depot. And if the zealots ever decide to target one of these depots, it could be a very dangerous situation for Terran, because siege tanks, especially in siege mode, don't fight very well against zealots that are right on top of them. Looks like there is going to be an attempt to take the natural here. The command center lands. Bunker was started, but the SCV that was building it was denied. First vulture now out on the map, and we're going to see some of that patrol micro yet again from Ironbot, doing quite well. The zealots chasing but unable to catch. One zealot tried to come from the back to surprise it, but it's not going to work out. And this is the strength of Terran. This is the strength of AI with thousands of APM. Ironbot using vultures to their maximum capacity here against the Zealots, rendering them incapable of denying the natural from Ironbot. Interesting building layout here. This can actually be quite decent for holding away vultures if there's a couple of army here. It is going to be a forge. The Nexus up a lot earlier in this game than it was in previous games. SCV has scouted the front. Looks like cannons are going to be used defensively against the vultures, and the vulture count is not high enough to whittle down the zealot count too quickly, which has kept them away from this natural while it's coming up. And before, they could have maybe run in and killed some probes. Now with the cannons up, it's going to be more defended, but it should be noted that the vulture count is climbing, zealot count is dropping precipitously. Ironbot at double the army supply and ahead in workers due to its earlier expansion here. And looks like the push is going to be starting now with 3 siege tanks. This timing could be huge. The number of zealots has been whittled down for Mad Mix. Mad Mix not going to have speed done in time to stop this siege tank push, and now the siege tanks have arrived. The siege tank is going to siege up here in range of the cannons, maybe. It looks like it's not deciding to. Yes, it finally does decide to do so. SCV here repair, something that's really cool about AI Terrans. They bring SCVs, they actually actively repair their army as they push. Zealot tries to run out, gets denied. Cannons are going to go down. Vulture's now able to walk into the natural. There is only 1 cannon left. Of Wraith already up here as well. Ironbot looking strong here as it pummels the natural from Mad Mix. Mad Mix does have quite a number of zealots, but again, with no speed, they're not going to be able to make their way on top of these siege tanks, especially with vulture support. The natural now going down for Mad Mix. Ironbot running in here. Doesn't need to siege up, and I probably wouldn't against the zealots being right here, but now Dragoons are coming into the game. Dragoons don't have the range upgrade. We see that the Cybernetics Core never starts spinning. It's now sieged up, having whittled down the Protoss army, and the Protoss army is getting dangerously small. We saw, I think that was a shuttle, and the Wraiths take it down immediately. That was great play from Ironbot, and Mad Mix is in a lot of trouble here as Ironbot takes the third base, climbs to 59 workers over 27. This is a really tremendous showing from Ironbot, and showing us just how strong the AI are if we consider the fact that this is the losers bracket, that both of these AI had to have fallen to an opponent in the previous series in last week's broadcast. Well, no, the broadcast from last week's broadcast or the week before. Either way, this is a really strong position for Ironbot. Just as it is hard to push up this ramp, it is also very difficult for Protoss to push down this ramp and try to deny this position. Being on 1 base, almost out of minerals, we do see a starport up, but with Wraith already out and with science vessels here, I really don't think that Mad Mix can generate enough forces to push this back. 58 supply against 157, and I have a feeling that Ironbot will be advancing to losers round 2, and that again is something that you will be able to see next Saturday. I'm going to speed it up a little bit here because it looks like we might stall out for a little bit as Ironbot has difficulty deciding how to push up this ramp. Probes are being sent, the base is mined out, and actually, I mean, we already know that the score lead is going to go to Ironbot, so even if this goes to a quote-unquote draw, I believe the timeout time is 45 minutes. I think it's quite comfortable to say that Ironbot will take this win. I'm going to look at the results to confirm, and yes, indeed, that is the case. Ironbot will win this series 2-0 over Mad Mix P. I'm going to let it rock for a little bit longer. We do actually see Scouts and Sayers, which is an interesting choice. If there was maybe more production behind this, if there was more bases, Sayers could be interesting with the Disruption Web ability that prevents units under it from attacking. But with Wraiths and vessels being able to EMP clouds of Corsairs, and by the way, this is obviously not a very standard strategy that I'm suggesting here, but it is a fun one if you guys ever want to mess around. If you're playing with one of your friends who may be a little bit worse or newer to the game, and you're playing Protoss, try going Dragoon Corsair against Terran Mech. It is really funny. But anyway, I think that we're going to be seeing this for quite some time. I mean, the push is slowly making its way here. The SCVs look like they are messing up the pathing of the Terran army. This is actually kind of funny to look at. I think I'm going to use this as the image, maybe, for this game. I'm sorry, for this broadcast. Ironbot up to 6 bases. Looks like, actually, no, 7 bases. Just taking the whole map. This is the tactic you use to tell people to get out of the game. You then share vision with them and be like, yo, bro, come on, bro, get out of here. Um, but yeah, I like this base layout. This is something else we can talk about. The factories being back here and then depots here, maybe not ideal, but look at the way that there's a grid. Army can pass relatively easy through these spaces. Triple armory, interesting, probably doing air upgrades. Is it ever going to make its way into the main base of Mad Mix P though? I'm going to speed it up one more time, maybe 2 more times. Let's see what happens. Let's see how we progress here. Because it seems like the Protoss keeps trying to fake engage against the Air Force from Ironbot. Ironbot maxed out, but not opting to go in. 85 workers to 1. Siege up, no damage done, and yeah, I think we're going to be heading for the timeout here. I'm not going to make you sit through that. We're just going to call it here. Ironbot advancing 2-0 against Mad Mix here in this match. Let's see. Ironbot 2-0. Okie doke. So next match is going to be from 13th seed Proxy against 12th seed Xiaoyi. Should be a close match. Let's see. This is going to be game 1 again on Fighting Spirit. With I don't want 16 speed, that's for sure. Alright, Xiaoyi spawning at the top right as the yellow Terran. This is the 2019 COG version of the bot. Against Proxy spawning in the bottom left as the orange Zerg. So cross map TVZ. Harder to do damage with earlier Zerglings. Mutalisk potential here is there though. The minerals, I believe Nightcat was talking about this as well last week. The minerals pointing out into the main base here. I'm sorry, not the main base, into the middle of the map sort of. Mutalisk can fly directly from here, so apply pressure back here. A little bit easier than they can over here, where they would have to loop around. But any position is quite good for Mutalisk Micro here. The main base a little bit harder to reach with it being flush against the back of the base here. Looks like it's going to be 1 Rax gas from Xiaoyi, which implies the tech opening is different from Willie T's 15 Rax. I'm sorry, Rax FE at 15 supply that we saw earlier. Gas follow-up is on the way for Proxy, but so is the natural hatchery. So definitely less aggressive than what we saw before from Steamhammer, and also less greedy from Xiaoyi than Willie T. Xiaoyi, of course, having great Vulture Micro. It looks like that's what it's going to be opting for here, adding the factory now. Still only 1 on gas. Maybe it's going for a 1 factory expand, kind of similar to what we saw Ironbot doing in TVP, where it's a little bit more standard than against Zerg. Zerg, in the meantime, going for a 2 hatch layer. This is very, very, not topical, what's the word for it? Contemporary. This build is currently in vogue in the pro scene, so I'm not surprised to see it here. Xiaoyi has scouted it though with the Marine. Xiaoyi comes and tries to apply a little pressure to the natural, but the Zerglings are going to chase it back. I'm not sure if I would be so aggressive with my Marines, given the fact that there's only 1 barracks and that 2 hatch layer is complete. What's going to be the tech option here? Layer has been done for a while. It's going to be a sunken first. That's interesting. Looks like it could not afford any advanced tech at the moment. The sunken is going to be useful for holding this Marine and Vulture aggression, but with enough Vultures, we know that they can run in. They try to run past. They get inside? Yes, we do. Xiaoyi running into the main base here. We saw this last week in Nightcat's broadcast, but the Vulture does get taken down by the Zerglings, and it looks like it's going to be a Spire follow, but it is quite delayed because of the necessity to add these Sunkens and maybe some build order in optimization as well, starting quite much later than the layer completing. Second gas on the way as well, as to be expected at the same time as the Spire, in order to help produce that Mutalisk flock more quickly. Xiaoyi reacting now with a command center of their own. There's only 1 turret, and there is an armory coming up. We should be seeing Goliath production soon, but I don't think it's going to be on time. This Spire is almost done. Soon there will be nearly 6 Mutalisks out on the map. Looks like 5 into 6 shortly thereafter. 6 Mutalisks against 2 turrets. They could be held with good repair, but I would really feel more comfortable if there were more turrets or the Goliath count was already climbing. It's going to be 2 factories, command center pushing out. Bunker not really in a great position to help defend against Mutalisks. However, the Mutalisks right now are focusing more on chasing down this Vulture being delayed, and it looks like they were thinking about chasing down a Marine that ran into the Sunkens. Mutalisks not opting to engage, perhaps waiting for a greater mass as we see Mutalisk production is continuing, but turret count is climbing as well. Nice placement on the turrets here in the mineral line. Makes them easy to repair, cover against damage quite well, and the economic advantage definitely in Xiao Yu's favor. But the Mutalisks still have the potential to do damage with good micro, and that we know a lot of AI have. Interestingly enough, not choosing to engage still. Going into a Hydralisk den now. Interesting. Hatchery count is climbing as well. Looks like production is going to be higher than normal, what we would expect from 2 hatch plays. And it looks like Goliaths are now increasing in count. Do we have the range upgrade for the Goliaths? No, not yet. That would be an important thing to have against Mutalisks. There is plus... Oh no, here it is. Here's the Goliath upgrade. +1 is on the way as well. Mech upgrades, so tremendous. Especially Goliath upgrades because I believe they shoot twice. So it would be crucial for the Zerg to start getting air armor upgrades to counteract this. But it looks like the Mutalisks are not looking to engage, just controlling space as they take the 3rd base here. There are a couple of mines here. Drone now looking to take a 4th base here is definitely going to be economic play. But a 2 base, 5 fact push could definitely be devastating against Proxy here. As the Goliath count continues to soar, look at the army size here. We have 17 Goliaths against 13 Mutalisks. I think the Goliaths take that handily. They now have the range completed. The Mutalisks try to pop in, but they can't do anything, and the push is on. 3 siege tanks, lots of Goliaths, lots of Marines. This could be devastating. The army is definitely not in numbers that you would want to see from Proxy. Hydralisk Den has been up for a while, but we don't see any Hydras out on the map. Looks like they were trying to be formed into lurkers, but they're not going to be able to. The egg gets destroyed. There are SCVs in support, likely for repairs. Could be also used to build turrets up aggressively for detection for any lurkers that are defensive, but there are none on the map. There's only 1 Hydralisk. Drones now, who are trying to transfer, it seems like, are getting taken down, and this push looks dangerous. Lurkers are now on the map. Do we have a ComSat scanner? Yes, we do. The scan goes down. Lurkers being taken down. The siege tank's not quite in position, but it doesn't matter. The lurkers run too far forward. They all get taken down, and this push is going to devastate Proxy here in the natural. Very difficult to stop this kind of a push. 2 base timings with mech are really strong against Zerg. You need a perfect balance of eco and production and army count as Zerg, which is difficult for even human players to do. Personally, I'm not capable of it. And this looks like it might be GG, as the army is firmly entrenched in the main base of Proxy and doing incredible amounts of damage. All of the tech will go down, all of the production will go down. There will be only 2 hatcheries left on the map, one of them just having completed here. The bases having come up from Proxy, maybe not in time, maybe not in sufficient numbers because of the fact that they went for such an early tech build. Mutalisks were not on early enough to apply pressure and do damage, so they felt like a wasted investment. And Xiao Yi, with a dangerous mech army and a great timing to attack with, is now taking his 3rd base quite comfortably and continuing to pump from the 5 factories. I think that this can definitely be said to be GG, as the Vultures have taken down the last drones. There's 0 workers here for Proxy, and Game 1 will go to Xiao Yi in this series. Game 2 is going to be on, looks like, Jade. Yes, Jade it is, and Proxy spawning on the bottom right, down 1-0 against Xiao Yi, the brown Terran here. Red Zerg, by the way. The Overlord, interestingly enough, is not being used to scout. I'm quite interested about that decision. I think that scouting with the Overlord is almost always a good decision, but perhaps not wanting to lose it by wandering outside his base, because obviously this is Terran. Terran can make it difficult by having Marines out on the map. And we've seen Xiaoyi be eager to move its Marines forward, even into Sunken Fire. So perhaps a better decision by Proxy to keep it here. Looks like it is over pool for the Zerg player here. Meanwhile, the Terran is going for the barracks again in its main base. Are we going to be seeing the same thing again? Because it worked really well for Xiaoyi in the last game. I would like to see Proxy hit that Mutalisk timing a little bit earlier and feel a little bit more confident in applying pressure with them, because I feel like that could have done some damage to Xiaoyi, because the Goliath count and production was started quite late. I should note that this is a really late scout in my opinion for TVZ, perhaps feeling secure in the fact that they're not going for a Rax FE build, therefore opting to scout later. The scout coming out for Proxy a bit later as well. It's going to be scouting with its Zerglings as it takes natural base. Looks like we're going to be seeing similar build orders to last game. One SCV on gas factory is placed. Looks like we'll be saving up again for a one fac expand from Xiaoyi. Meanwhile, the Zerg, ooh, interesting, 2-hatch Hydralisk Den. This implies to me that there could be some Hydra production here. The SCV, is it going to make it in to see it? I don't think it saw that Hydralisk Den, but it also did not see a layer, notably, and now it sees the Hydralisk Den. Great scouting here from Xiaoyi, great coding to make sure that it gets that information. So 2-hatch Hydralisk Den, could knock on the doors with some damage. I mean, we don't have an add-on here. Hydras do well against vultures, especially in lower numbers. Zerglings are not going to stand up well against the vultures though, and that is taken out. Bunker is going to be helpful against any Hydraless pressure. First Hydra is out on the map. Still no lair. 2 vultures against 1 Hydra. The vulture should win. The Hydra falls back to the safety of its Sunkens and is going to heal up a little bit. But the production is quite low for Proxy. I'm quite surprised. I mean, with 16 workers, it's difficult to produce a lot. 2-hatch Hydra production is going to continue though, and we do have now 2 vultures out on the map against 4 vultures, but the vultures are significant enough number to keep them locked in. Would love to see an add-on in mines. We do see the add-on on the way. Looks like it's engineering bay being added and armory, so it does look like we're going into a similar build from last game. I like the fact that Proxy didn't do exactly the same build as before. Did not seem to pan out for it. And now with 4 Hydras against 4 Vultures, the Hydras are going to be comfortable to take that fight. They're going to take this position. The SCVs pulled preemptively for repairs. I love that. And they're repairing the Vultures as well. Really, really amazing play here. Command center started on the low ground. Perhaps not absolutely necessary given the bunker was there. But now with the first siege tank out, siege tanks faring quite a deal better against Hydras. No siege mode yet, it seems like. Let me see the upgrades, research. No, siege mode is complete. It did siege up in front of the bunker, which I don't know if it was advisable. Running in with the Hydras there to take out that first siege tank could have been an option, but opting instead to maintain its numbers. Perhaps recognizing the fact that with 2 hatcheries, it does not have a great amount of production, needs to maintain that Hydralisk count to prevent the Terran ball that I expect will eventually be coming out from doing too much damage. Looking here, we have a 3rd base coming up from Proxy, and a macro hatchery was placed in main base. Is this a... no? Yeah, that is a macro hatchery as well, and layer on the way as well. Ooh, mines are out on the map now. That's dangerous. They're kind of stacked up though, like running 1 Hydralisk in here or 1 Zergling could detonate all of them and make it a little bit easier for the Hydras to push in. Should be noted that these SCVs have been pulled for quite some time, so even though Xiaoyi is at 39 workers versus the 33 of Proxy, Zerg generally needs less workers to produce comparable army sizes, and 6 of those SCVs were idle for quite some time. So Xiaoyi, not going to have the economy that is as strong as it appears on paper, but now having pulled back with a sufficient tank count here, is going to feel a little bit more comfortable pulling it back. Now it looks like trying to take this high ground position by pushing out with siege mode is going to succeed in doing so. Hydralisk count has not been able to climb, notably. It is kind of a bio-mech push this time, with Marines and medics mixed in with the with the tanks and the Goliaths. The push is quite a bit earlier than in the previous game too, so both AI adapting to what they're seeing on the map, adapting to previous games. Proxy is going up to 5 bases, but it was too greedy at this point. No, the Zerglings are going to run in now that the support army has been cleaned up, but no, the Zerglings actually get cleaned up. I was surprised to see that. Hydralisk count is very low now. Zerglings are not making it on top of the tanks, and it looks like Proxy was just a couple of macro rounds away from having enough to deal with this push. Mutalisks now out on the map. There's only 2 Goliaths, but the Mutalisk count is low as well. Let's look at the army numbers. 3 Mutas is not going to cut it. 4 Goliaths now at the front here. And what a play from Xiaoyi. This earlier push timing definitely paying dividends here. Proxy being perhaps a little bit too greedy, perhaps losing a few too many Hydralisks before this crucial timing, and is going to cost it dearly here, as it looks like Xiaoyi will take this series 2-0 in losers round 1 against Proxy. We're going to stay in here for a little bit to see what happens, because a comeback is still possible. There are still a lot of bases. There is some economy at least a few of them, but all the tech being here, it's going to be so difficult to hold this position. Mutas are not in high enough number. They take down the medic. Not going to be able to fight those Goliaths, though. The Goliath count is being rallied forward. Purely defensive position for Proxy, and I don't think it's going to be able to hold. A lot of drones go down. They tried to stack on top of the Goliaths, but they were not able to take down all that many of them. One macro hatchery that goes down. Spire looks like to be going down soon as well, and it should be noted that the siege tank count has been climbed this whole time. I think that this is a wrap for Proxy, unfortunately. Great play from both players, really nicely done here, and I think that this is going to be GG. I'm going to speed it up a little bit to see how this ends. I expect this death ball, which has now accrued quite a number, to continue pushing. Should be noted that the worker count is kind of low, I think, for Xiaoyi. I think it intentionally cut some workers maybe to hit this timing. 50 workers on 3 bases is on the lower end for Terran mech play. Trying to rebuild its tech is Proxy, but unfortunately it's not going to be able to, as this monstrous metal ball approaches its last base and is going to take down the last hatchery. That is GG, and congratulations to Xiaoyi to stay in here. Well done, but better luck next time to Proxy. 2-0 is the score there. Oh, I keep doing it. I'm not going to do that though. All right. For our final losers round 1 series, we'll have Tier Protoss, the 16th ranked or 16th seed, against Dragon, the 8th seed. Dragon definitely the favorite coming into this series, but anything is possible. Tier Protoss spawning on the bottom right of Moonglaive as the orange Protoss, with Dragon spawning at the 12 o'clock position as the purple Terran. I've played Dragon on this map. Dragon is really good at this map. What I've noticed that they do is, even when I had the eco advantage, Dragon would split their army into 3 and attack like 3 of my bases at once, and that's not something that humans can keep up with. Tier Protoss, of course, an AI may be capable of doing so. And Dragon, also known for its bio mech play, marine medics and siege tanks. It splits against Storm quite nicely. I'm going to slow down the game a little bit here. Looks like it's going for a Raxaphy in this case. Meanwhile, it's a 2-gate opener from Tier Protoss, looking to get some Zealot pressure done in early, but the bunker is on the way up. Zealot could have been here harassing a little bit. Marine count isn't like that high, so I'm surprised it didn't opt to run in. A Zealot run by is an option though. With 4 Zealots you can run into the main base and do damage, but there's actually a defensive bunker here as well, which is interesting. Looks like this SCV bugged out in the meantime. Zealots run in. Oh, they're chasing the Marine though, and great micro from Dragon, runs into the bunker as well. That was almost human-like micro, and 3 Zealots go down almost at the same time here to the bunker. The bunker defends nicely, gets repaired with the SCV. Dragon holds against this 2-gateway aggression as the first factory is on the way up. As we saw in the earlier series of Mad Mix P vs Ironbot, Zealots don't fare that well against well-microed Vultures. Looks like another run-in was attempted, but the SCVs were pulled. They, I don't know if they were there to block or just to repair, but either way, it's not going to happen for Tier Protoss that easily. SCVs pulled again. They are trying to block, it seems like, actually. Support the Zealots, but I'm sorry, support the Marines, but the Marines push back. The Marine number is now high enough, especially with the Vulture, to push back, and this is a really human, I think, reaction to this Zealot play, this heavy Marine Vulture and counterattack. And what you sometimes see people do is, behind this kind of Zealot pressure, they will go for an expansion, and then the Terran will counter by bringing Marines, Vultures, and SCVs to take down that Nexus. But we don't see a Nexus here. We do see a Gas now up, hoping to see a Cybernetics core. It is actually 4 gateways of production, and interesting building layout as well. Looks like that might be the Cybernetics core, yes indeed. It should be noted that the Zealot production has been constant, so it's been keeping Dragon from doing any damage, but the Vultures, as mentioned before, should fare nicely. Looking like it's not as confident with his patrol micro as Ironbot was. That is getting some hits off now, and siege mode is complete. Zealot's trying to run on top. They might take down the siege tank, but no, the repairs. This is another great feature of Dragon, the repairs on the siege tanks, keeping them alive for longer, making it difficult to whittle down that Terran, Death Ball, and tank count. Now pushing in freely with Vultures and Marines, pushing the Protoss army back. Dragoon is out now. Do we have the range upgrade? No, it does not seem to be the case. Range upgrade is crucial for fighting Terran mech armies, but looks like the tank was not brought with it. It was not a full-on aggression, and we do see Tier Protoss taking its natural here. But it should be noted that it's quite a bit later than Dragon's natural, who's now almost at 50 workers. Looks like we're adding factories. Yes, it's going up to 5 factories. It's going to be no biomech here. It's going to be pure mech. And I do think that this is a good choice here. Protoss is definitely behind. A good timing push on 5 factories could seal the deal here. Looks like maybe even another factory being thrown down. No, that I think. Yes, actually it is. It looks like 6 factories. Meanwhile, Protoss tried to run in. It's applying pressure. Tried to snipe a tank. Did not get it and lost most of its army. You can't afford to do that right before a 5 factory push. You have to keep that mass up. You have to ensure that you will be able to stop this push. In the meantime, behind the 6 factories, Dragon is taking its 3rd base as well. Strong economic play from Dragon here. Just as Tier Protoss took its natural. A position you never want to be in as Protoss is being 1 base behind the Terran opponent. Terran's so much more efficient with their units, as we saw earlier. So many more losses for Protoss this game. So even though the army counts are the same, a lot of money loss for Tier Protoss. Is going to try to run in here. It's going to try to pick off the siege tank again. The Zealot's kind of stumbling around, and it doesn't even get the siege tank. The repairs are now coming back in. Engages like that are exactly what Terran loves to see. So definitely a dangerous position to be in if you're Tier Protoss. Dropship's actually now out as well. One of the few AI that I've seen use drops so effectively, and it's actually taking a 4th base behind this push. This is exactly how Terran should play. They push and they expand at the same time. Scanning ahead to see what kind of army the Protoss has. As mentioned before, it did get whittled down quite considerably. Dropship is taking a circuitous route, perhaps scouting expansions at the same time in order to apply pressure and deny any of them should the Protoss be expanding. But no, it's just 2 bases. The Zealot's trying to run in on top of the siege tanks. 1 siege tank goes down, and the second one does not repair again, saving that one. In the meantime, there was a drop here. Probes being pulled to try to defend. Great micro here, but the tank does go down. Lots of lost mining time though, and 22 workers, 21 workers as the natural base of Tier Protoss goes down. Dragon showing its force here in the first game of the series, and I think that it's going to be really tough for Tier Protoss to try to push this back with a weaker economy. 71 workers now for Dragon, 4 bases. What an enormous, terrifying performance here from Dragon, who is looking to stay in this tournament and stay alive in the bracket here. Vultures and Mines now pushing up into the natural base, and you can't help but feel that this is all but over for Tier Protoss. Minerals are running low in the main base. Production is going to be covered by Vultures. There's probes are being pulled to attack, but they're going to fall easily to the mech army, and Terran is continuing to expand as they push in. Well, this siege tank blocking the entrance for a little bit, but I don't think we'll have a repeat of the situation where Xiaoyu was unable to Ironbot was unable to push up, and Tier Protoss, actually recognizing that they are fallen, is going to tap out in Game 1 here. For Game 2 of this best of 3 is going to be on Empire of the Sun. In the bottom right, we have Dragon as the orange Terran, and in the bottom left, we have Tier Protoss as the purple Protoss. So let's see what happens in this game. Last game, pretty convincing for Dragon. A lot of losses early for Tier Protoss, which I think has kind of snowballed into a position where it could no longer win. Delaying its expansion to support a 4 gateway production of Zealots, definitely hurting it as well against Dragon's more economically oriented and frankly standard opening of a Rax FE. It's going to be interesting to see if we're going to see similar situation in this game. Tier Protoss adding its gateway now. No surprises there. Barracks being thrown down for Dragon. No surprise there as well. Scouting SCV being sent out at 12 after the barracks. Pretty standard timing. Could be a little bit greedier, but having been 4 gateway aggressed on by Tier Protoss in the previous game, I would send out an earlier scout potentially as well. Unfortunately, Dragon's not going to find its opponent anytime soon as it goes in the incorrect direction. Sending out 2 SCVs actually though, so I stand corrected. It will find the opponent quite soon. It is 2 gateways yet again. Again, Zealot production starting up. It's going to be interesting to see if we see a bunker and repairs again. It's going to come down to control here for a little bit. The SCV does get a good scout and is going to keep running around, annoying the Zealots. Does get attacked a few times. Even a probe being pulled to try to get some hits in on the SCV. SCV does a mineral walk there, I believe, in order to avoid the Zealots. And wow, look at that micro. That, if I was a human player, I mean, if Purple was a human player, I think that they would be very annoyed, but they do manage to trap that SCV eventually. The bunker is already up. SCV is pulled preemptively for repairs and potentially for blocking. Is this bunker full? No, just 3 Marines out. And the bunker is not even loaded. The Zealots could achieve a run by here. It looks like they are trying to run in. The SCVs were there to block. Some SCVs go down, but the Zealots are now at quite a high number, 5 of them. But choosing to engage onto that bunker, I'm not sure was the correct decision. I would have much preferred to seen it run into the main base, delay that factory, do economic damage, and behind that perhaps expand and tech up, so on and so forth. But it looks like we're going to be seeing 3 gateways, and I anticipate eventually 4. I really would have loved to see a run by there, but the Marine count is again climbing. The bunker is loaded up. With this number of Marines, you can kite the Zealots quite effectively. Zealots are going to try to run in again. The SCVs are coming in from behind to repair, but the Zealots not even able to do all that much damage before being forced away. And now the first Vulture is out on the map. Turret being thrown down in natural as well for any potential shenanigans with Dark Templar. Vulture and Marines starting to push back the Zealots. Zealots trying to act like they might try to engage, but no, really cautious play here from Dragon, and I'd love to see it. There's the kiting that I was describing earlier. However, the Zealots split up nicely as well. Marines running in every which direction. This is only possible with AI. Humans would never be able to control each Marine individually to that degree, I believe. Now with the Vulture count climbing, the Zealots are becoming less and less effective on the field. Not a lot of Marines have even gone down recently. It's mostly been Zealot awes in the audio stream here. And first Siege Tank now out as well. Still no expansion for Tier Protoss, but the Cybernetics Core is coming up. The Zealots are going to stall the push a little bit, force a siege up here. Forcing the Siege Tanks to siege up and down repeatedly. Does stall out pushes, but at what cost though? As the Zealot count continues to drop, the supply count is the same for both players. We saw that not really work out in Tier Protoss's favor last game, and the worker count again superior for Dragon with 2 base production. I anticipate to see it go for a 3rd base behind this push, kiting quite nicely here, now having successfully taken its broad high ground ramp and actually pushing out into the middle where there's some more high grounds where it could possibly take. Zealots try to run out on top of the Siege Tanks. There's no SCVs to support this time, and actually the Siege Tank will go down. This one does as well despite the repairs, and that is a great pickup for Tier Protoss. With this number of Siege Tanks, like losing the first 2 Siege Tanks is huge, but with this number of Vultures, pardon me, and now Mines out on the map, it's going to be difficult for Tier Protoss to continue its aggression. The Vultures actually trying to run around the army. The Dragoons thought about going back to defend. They ran into some mines. Vultures placing some great mines here. The mines are going to do a lot of damage here, take down a Dragoon, and the 3rd base looks like it's being put up here by Dragon shortly. Is there going to be more aggression here? And we're now up to 4 Siege Tanks against 5 Dragoons, 4 Zealots. This is a win. This is a battle that I would not take as Protoss, and that I would happily take as Terran. Pushing back the Protoss army shouldn't be too much trouble, especially if they engage onto the bunker. A lot of Dragoons go down, and now the push is on for Dragon. Dragon is going to go aggressive. It is going up to 5 factories. It's throwing down the armory, and the push is on. Dragoons are in a dicey situation, and there are mines here from the earlier Vultures as well. More mines being thrown down now. Scan ahead to see the army position and numbers, and it's going to confidently push ahead. Dragon is. The Dragoons pushed back all the way to the natural. Now the probe line is in danger. They're being pulled to attack, but not at the same time as the army. All the probes go down. 19 workers to 60 workers now, and I think Dragon has just sealed the deal with this push and is going to stay alive in SSCAIT 2020 through 2021 in the losers bracket. So we had some fantastic games today. I'm so happy for all of you who tuned in today. These games, a lot of them were really tight. We saw a lot of very human-like play. We saw a lot of superhuman play, and we saw some interesting build choices, some interesting play. And yeah, I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for tomorrow's broadcast. It's going to be Nightcat doing the winners round of 8 or round 2. The first match is going to be, well, I'm not sure the order that Nightcat will go in. Obviously, I did not go in order. I went in order of replay. Oh, oops. That's not the button. Anyway, Dragon going up 2-0. Congratulations to Dragon. Tier Protoss. Better luck next time. Dragon is holding on. So, tomorrow on Sunday, well, for us in the Easter, well, for a lot of us, sorry, not good at time zones. Sunday, tomorrow, same time as this broadcast, which is, I believe it was, what? It's 1700 GMT, 1400 Eastern. We're going to have Stardust and Krazio in a PvP, Monster and Halpan ZVT, Banana Brain, Banana Brain and Marion Deveka PvZ, Betastar and Purple Wave PvP. A lot of Protoss in the top bracket, but some Protosses did get eliminated today as well. The losers of these matches will be facing the winners of this week's losers round. So Dragon, Xiaoyi, Ironbot, Steamhammer, the bots that managed to stay alive in this losers round and in the tournament itself are going to be facing the losers of tomorrow's games. I hope you guys tune in. I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast and will continue to enjoy and support SSCAIT. I wish you all the best of health, luck, happiness, romance, whatever it is that you're looking for. I hope you have it, and yeah, stay safe, everyone. Take care.